Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with a very, very special guest right now. And what we're going to be talking about is something that is near and dear to my heart. And quite frankly, I've trained on the importance of this forever. And I think it is so important. And we're going to be having an amazing conversation about this. And what we're talking about is the operations of your business. And what we're going to be talking about not only is just the operations of your business, but how to stand that up, what is an operations person looks like, basically how to be an ops boss, because a business can be made or broken inside of the operations level. Trust me, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It matters how much money you keep. And the operations department is the most efficient, or can be the most efficient machine inside of your system. And I'm excited to bring somebody who specializes in this area, who coaches in this area, who coaches operations teams in this area. And I'm bringing to you the ops boss herself, Christy Belt Grossman. Welcome, Christy. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Johnny. This is going to be fun.
I think it's going to be fantastically fun. And not only just fun, but eye-opening, because again, I'm not BSing. When I say operations, it's that important. It is that important. I'm in it all day for this company, right? If the operations weren't running, neither is the company,
Yep.
right?
Because hit a ceiling without them and you go faster with them.
Yeah. So do me a favor. Tell me and tell us, tell everybody, what is operations? What is an ops boss, and all these good things, and the importance of what's going on?
Do you want me to introduce myself first?
Yeah, do you? Yeah, you got the stage, kid.
So they know who I am. Hey guys, I'm glad to be with you, Johnny. Thanks for having me. Super excited today. This is a topic I'm super passionate about, and I hope you are super passionate about it after we talk today. So I'm Christy Belt Grossman. I'm the CEO and founder of Ops Boss Coaching. And my background is I was the chief operating officer for one of the nation's top teams for 23 years. And grew up in a world where nobody talked about operations staff or people, and I always was looking for my people. And so I created a community of ops bosses. So I have a team around the country that coaches and trains and educates people on the difference between an admin or an assistant and what we call an ops boss, which is a term that we're proud that we trademarked last year, just like the term realtor. So it's an actual professional real word now.
Realtor.
We're going to talk about that today. So Johnny, where do you want to start?
Let's start with defining exactly what the operations and who's involved in the operations, right? Because some folks on this might be a solo agent looking for that next level. And I think one of the things they got to understand right off the bat is all that money's not yours. In order to grow, you got to spend some.
That's right. Well, and actually I want to talk about that. Like, a lot of people look at this hire, especially your first hire, as an expense. And I would say that for some agents who aren't growing big businesses, it can just be an expense. And then they're looking to hire an average assistant. And I would say that many of the people who are on the call, I'm guessing, are probably looking to level up their business a little bit. Some maybe are looking to get their life back. Some are looking to grow their teams. Some are growing big teams. And those are people that are looking to make an investment. And that's the difference between an average assistant and an ops boss. An ops boss is going to give you a return on your investment, whereas an average assistant is going to just be paid for their time. So I think there's kind of two different things. So you said, like, what is operations? Operations is all the stuff you don't like to do as an agent. It's not sales, even though we are really in sales. All of us are in sales. But it's building the systems and the things that create a repeatable, predictable, growth-oriented business for you as an agent or you as a team. So it's marketing, it's finances, it's systems, it's your database, it's paperwork, it's compliance, it's all the things, so that you as the agent can focus on income generating activities only.
I mean, I don't know how great that sounds, man. I like, and if you're listening to this on the Facebook, put a heart or a like if you like income generating activities, right? You could delegate. And that's one word I would like to, two words I would like to bring up, before we go any further, I was mentored by Michael Gerber himself, author of the E-Myth. And, you know, the two words that really stick out to me is delegation versus abdication. And the one issue, I've been doing this for a long time, 20 years at this point, I've worked with a lot of people. The one issue that I see people make often, agents, they get busy. And now all of a sudden, I need a transaction coordinator. They're frantically looking for one. And then they're just like, here, that's abdication. You're just giving something away, hoping the person knows what the heck they're talking about and that they can execute it properly. Where delegation is you're giving authority to the person on your behalf, if you would. So you're saying to them, this is how I want it done. This is the expectation that we have. This is our standing operating procedure. This is how important it is. And you're right that a lot of people will hire subpar assistants. Again, that's an abdication tendency, right?
Well,
And
I think they don't necessarily have to have the standard operating procedure. I think what they have to do is have the vision. They have to know what the goal is. Where are we going? And this is what I want to paint the picture for the person, whether it's the assistant, the ops boss, whatever. Paint the picture of where we're going, and then provide the support. It doesn't have to be you, but provide the support that your staff person needs in order to achieve the vision. Now, they should be better at standard operating procedure than you. Johnny, you happen to be one of those like people that can do both, right? But most agents aren't great at operations. So let your operations people lead with the how, but you tell them where you're going. And I think the mistake that I see people make is exactly what you say. It's abdication. It's I hire you, after 30 days, I'm over it. I'm worn out. I'm not good at training. I'm not good at consistency because I'm great at sales and all the things that agents are great at. So you need to find support for that person beyond what you have the ability to give. And that's kind of where our community came in, is what we know is agents leave their assistants on the desert island by themselves. And we don't need to be on a desert island. We need our people around us to support us in our growth. So they need to meet other ops bosses. They need to have other people where they can go for training, for coaching, for support. Other people who aren't salespeople, right? Because if I'm an agent and I'm hiring somebody, I don't necessarily know how to do all those things at the best that they can be done. I did them for many years as an agent. That's why I'm successful enough to hire an assistant. But maybe they could be done better if I hired somebody that was better than me. I think that's kind of the idea behind it.
Mm-hmm. True story. What are some of the functions on a day-to-day? Just give us a little bit of functions on the day-to-day. What happens in an operational world? Like in your ideal utopian operations world, what does that look like? Not only from the operations perspective, but from the agent's perspective, right? From that lead agent heading to that place that they're going to be able to start building this, because ultimately the goal always is, right? From I want to build a team, I want to build a brokerage, whatever, I want to build a downline, whatever you're into. What does it look like as the handoff from the agent? What do they get back in return? And what is the operation look like internally? Because currently, if you're a single agent and you're doing everything, you're doing everything. But you can leverage out transaction coordination, bookkeeping, and a whole bunch of other things. So what does it look like on a day-to-day basis?
I think whether you're the single agent hiring your first assistant or you are the expansion team leader with 27 teams in 30 states, it's the same thing. We have to set our goals. Where are we going? What are the goals? Make your job description for this person. They could be your first assistant, or they could be your chief operating officer. Make the job description. Now I've got 10 things or 20 things or 100 things on the job description. Choose 2. What are the top 2 that are the most important? Because we know that all of our activities are not equal, right? We can have a to-do list with 100 things, but 2 of those things are going to move our business forward way faster and farther than anything else. So choose those 2 things. Get clear, set goals around them, set metrics. and then meet with your person every week for 2 meetings, right? You're going to meet with one meeting to go over goals and how is the progress on the goals. And then you're going to have a second meeting that's their meeting where they get from you what they need in order to move the business forward. If it's the first hire for an agent, it could be so simple as, okay, well, I'm putting your database together and I don't know who these people are. Can we sit down for an hour and just go through who these people are so I know how to tag them in the database? If you're the chief operating officer, it could be, I'm looking at the P&L and I see an opportunity for growth here. If we invest in this area, we can 3x our income next year. Do I have your approval to go ahead and make this investment? So it might be different conversations, but it's the same method of what you're actually doing. And that should be the same for each ops person. Every single day, the first thing they're doing first in the day is that 20%. What's the most important big rock that's going to move my business forward? I'm moving that rock forward for the first 1 or 2 or 3 hours, depending on what your role is, every day. And then the rest of the day, I'm doing all the rest of the stuff, the to-do list. It's the same process for everybody. I know that sounds really boring, doesn't it?
Well, operations can be, right? And that's why, when you start to look, let's jump right into that. I don't know, even know, this is completely unscripted. Does somebody in operations have a specific disc profile that's favorable to the job compared to a favorable disc assessment of the agent? Like a lot of agents are going to have high I to them, right? We're talking with people, right?
Yeah, high I or high D because they're drivers, right? For agents. Yeah.
Yep.
So I would say that's a question. Here's what I love about you asking that question. That question assumes that there's potentially an answer that all operations people have the same disc profile. And I think that used to be the case, but our industry has progressed to the place where there are 20 million, not 20 million, maybe 20 different operations roles on teams. So a disc profile of an average assistant who's an assistant for a single agent of an agent that's going to maintain a business might be different than the disc profile of a chief operating officer. One of my coaches, Stephanie Brackett, is the COO of a team doing 700 units a year. Wow. So her disc profile is actually DI, the same as a highly successful agent or rainmaker. But that's because she's at a leadership level, leading and driving the growth of a team. So I think it depends. In the kind of lower production areas, I would say we often see an SC or a CS. But I like to use DISC as just a tool for conversation, not to sort of pigeonhole anyone into a certain role. I'm a high D, for example. I'm 99% D, and I was in operations roles for 23 years on my real estate team. So I don't think it's a black or white thing. I think it just depends. We see a lot of D as we get into the leader levels. I will tell you, I think all 7 of the coaches on my team either lead with D or have secondary D on them, and that's because they're in leadership roles.
Sure, understood. What when somebody is starting to build their operations, what's some of the considerations, from some of the initial considerations that they want to have present?
So I always tell people, when you're making your first operations hire, to use the ABCs, right? So the first one is A, which is assess your needs. This is probably the most important step, and most agents skip it, and that is actually writing down the job description. They're just so overwhelmed. Their phone is ringing off the hook. They've got sticky notes all over their computer. Their broker's chasing them down for compliance, and they are in a huge amount of pain, and they just want to make that hire. So they skip writing the job description. They just hire somebody, and then it fails. So write down that job description, write the 10 things, pick the 2 that are the most important and hire to those 2. So it might be, I need somebody to do compliance, transactions, marketing, finances, build my database, do my social media. You've got all of a sudden 10 things you want them to do, but those might be all different behavioral profile hires. If I want someone who's really great with customers, it might be an SI. If I want someone who's going to do my bookkeeping and my taxes and all that stuff, they're going to be a high C. If I want someone that's going to build me up to 500 units a year, I might need some D. So it's different. And that's why it's really important to do that job description. So start with assessing the role, writing the job description. B is behavioral profile. Figure out what I'm looking for. The mistake I see people make is they try to hire someone that is like them. So they do interviews and they're a high I agent and they have this interview and, oh my God, we had the best conversation. I like them so much and I hire them. It's because they're like me, they're a high I and we got along great, but they might not be great at doing detail-oriented work. So hire someone you like, not someone like you, right? Like Johnny, I know you're gonna hire a high I because you love having these conversations, but you actually might need someone the opposite of you. So if you hire
100%.
somebody who's maybe a little introverted, a little bit quiet, they may not shine in that interview, but they may shine in the interview process. So hire someone that you like, but not like you. And then the third thing I tell them, the C is cultural profile. What are those intangibles that are important to you and your team? It might be integrity. It might be sense of humor. It might be work ethic. Anything that's important to you and the culture of your team, make sure that you're hiring to that. So those are the three things I always tell people when they're hiring their first person.
And culture is so underrated. I mean, it is so important because you don't want a toxic environment. You don't want that friction. You want everybody to be you want somebody that is going to take the extra step because, well, they can and they want to, not do what they're told to do, right? And culture plays a large part of that, and coming from contribution, which I know is an overplayed word, thanks KW, but it's true. They got a lot of good sayings that have come out of those doors. But getting ready to get into operations, what's one of the first considerations? I mean, where should they be? I'm an agent, I'm doing 100 units a year. I need somebody. Should I be thinking full-time person? Should I be thinking, okay, I can leverage out this TC, I can leverage out this bookkeeper, somebody that is on the threshold, they know they need help. Otherwise, if they don't get the help, they're going to stay doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They get the help. Like I'm hiring somebody to take care of our marketing. I know what it's going to cost. I can get it for a third of the price, but I'm not going to get this guy. Right? This guy's the best, and that's why we're going.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah, you get what you pay for. But when you're at that threshold of, okay, I know I've identified I need help. I can't keep running at this pace. What's one of the first things that an agent, a solo agent, I call it the DMZ, right? You're in that demilitarized zone going from this side to this side. You don't just go from, in my opinion, you don't just go from here to, oh, I got a 7-level team. You got 6 other levels you got to accomplish before you get there. What's some of the things that they might be able to do before, as they're crossing that threshold, that can alleviate or start to put them in the direction?
They can hire a transaction coordinator, first of all. I mean, that's a great first step. But when you're ready to actually hire full-time on your team, have you put aside 3 to 6 months of salary so that you can invest in the training, invest in the person, get them to the point. Now, when you get to that 3 to 6 month, within their first year, they should be a multiplier. They shouldn't just be adding to your team. They should be multiplying the results you're getting. So if you can put aside enough to get them to that point, then the actions they're taking should start adding business to you, not just taking things off your plate, but actually adding business. Remind me the question again.
What's one of the first things they should be doing as a
transaction coordinator? I knew I was going somewhere. Senior moment. I also would say, I would challenge the agents, where are you going? If you're hiring talent, they want to know where you're going. Do you have a vision for where you're going? They can help you get there. You don't have to know exactly every detail of how you're getting there, but do you have the vision? And have you started to do the things that are going to transition you from being a realtor? You went from being a realtor to a superstar salesperson, probably, if you're doing enough business to hire someone. You're good at sales. You're now a star salesperson. have you transitioned to business owner? And have you transitioned from business owner to leader? Because when you bring someone full-time onto your team, whether it's your first assistant or your 10th hire, you are now a leader of that person. So I would start with, are you leading yourself? What does your daily routine look like? Are you doing lead generation? Are you working on your health? Do you have a P&L? Is your finances in order? All of those things where you lead yourself. Because in order to lead someone else, you've got to lead yourself first. Those are the steps I would start with. And I know that's probably not the answer you were looking for, because you were looking.
Oh, I was no answer I was looking for.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I would start. And then, so transaction coordinator or part-time, EA would be fine. And then you hire in-house. My thought process is hire that first operations person. And if you hire right the first time, you should never have to hire another operations person again. They'll hire the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so that's a great statement. I think a lot of us make the initial. Listen, we got to make some mistakes, right? So we can correct them.
Oh, I've made them all. Trust me.
I think a lot of people do make that initial first, like I said, abdication. Everything leads up to that abdication. And what you said is so important. If you're taking on people and you're going to build an operations department and you're going to build anything of significance or value, you must work heavily on personal development in all areas. I'm doing shadow work right now, Carl Jung theories and things like that. Got to go deep. If you're going to be the leader, you're taking other people's livelihoods and putting it on your shoulders, right? So absolutely. Be aware of that. You might be accustomed to getting paid every 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever your situation set up. They're used to getting a paycheck, right? So to expect them to change, it doesn't work that way, because they're there working, doing their operations every day for all the transactions. So financial literacy, reading books like Michael Michalowicz, Profit First, all these things, do it now.
I'll give you one thing you can tangibly do. If you're looking for a book to read on leadership, and this applies to operations people too, who are in leadership roles, not just agents. 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Johnny, I know you've read that. In that book, there is the self-assessment that you can assess your own leadership in different areas and figure out where your blind spots are. You can also take that assessment and give it to people where you show up as a leader. So it might be like maybe you work at your church in a leadership role, maybe you're on the PTA at the school, maybe your broker at your office or somebody on your team. Give that assessment to them and have them do it on you. And now I've got some input on areas where I can grow my leadership. That's a tangible thing that you can do.
Yeah, that's great. So we talked a lot about, so far, we've talked quite a bit about, we're going to change gears a little bit. And if you're watching this live, put an L in the comment. If you have any questions, feel free to put it down. Either in the chat on Facebook or in the chat section of Zoom here. We've been talking a lot about taking the step as an agent into operations, but there's some people on here that might be in operations. So what are some hints and ideas and things that we can give them?
So I would say, first of all, to go back to one of the first things that we said at the beginning, is to know that you are an investment, not an expense. So start thinking about ways that you can, through the use of systems, I'm not telling you to go out and lead generate and prospect like agents do. How can your systems generate income, right? So an average assistant might be like, oh, I did this great social media campaign and I came up with this really cool marketing flyer. Awesome. The first thing I'm going to ask you is, how much did the campaign cost, and how many dollars in commissions that are closed did it produce in closed commissions? I want you to know what the rate of return is. So have you put the database together? Awesome. Now that you have the database, do you have a touch plan? Great. Okay, that's an average assistant. An ops boss would say, awesome, yes, I have a database that has X number of people in it. We get a rate of return of 1 out of every 10 people sends a referral to us. We closed X $1,000s in commission income. The year before I replaced myself on my team, my systems generated $515,000 in gross commission income. So that's where I would tell you to start, is figure out, do I need to get more reviews online on Google so that my agent gets more people coming in? Do I need to put in a referral system so that throughout the process, we're asking for referrals in a systematic way. Instead of waiting till closing, I'm asking during the process, because that's when most people are going to know other buyers and sellers that might be looking to work with us. Once they're closed, they're thinking about putting a deck on the house, finishing the basement, all the other things. But during the process, that's when they're talking about real estate with their friends. That's when we want to ask them. So do we have a system for that? I would start right with that. How can we teach in our classes that we teach that operations teams should be generating 3 times their salary in gross commission income to the team. If you do that, you're going to grow opportunity for yourself and everyone on the team.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I just want to point this out too, right? Assistant versus an ops boss. An assistant has a job. An ops boss is a partner in your company, right? Has a career and is. I look for in a good COO or operations manager is somebody that can tell me what we're doing, right? I might be the captain of the ship, but I need to hear from the mechanic what's going on with that engine and I'm going to listen to him, right? Or her. I want to listen to those people who are in those instrumental places, and then I can make the adjustments. An operations, an ops boss, your head of operations, your COO, whatever you want to call them, is an extension of you as the CEO of your company. You're delegating control to that person to run the organization, to run that part of the organization with your vision, with your guidance. That's why you meet, to make sure that we're all going into the same place and not overruling or undermining them. A lot of times, and I find people as they're growing, they have a hard time letting go. So do you work with people to teach them how to let go, or what practices can somebody do to go through the full handoff and not keep basically mingling in their own demise, if you would?
Well, that's why the 2 meetings that I told you are really important. I find what happens is rainmakers do the seagull swoop in, dump a bunch of stuff, swoop out.
Yeah.
And then, or they disappear I hear from people all over the country, I can't even get my rainmaker or my agent to meet with me. I haven't met with my agent for 3 or 4 weeks. And then they swoop in. Micromanagement is the very #1 reason you will lose a talented person. If you are a micromanager and someone sticks with you, it's probably because they're not talented. If they're talented, they're going to leave. So the #1 thing for success is that once a week meeting on goals, 15 to 20 minutes, and 1 hour business meeting once a week. Super simple. If you can invest an hour and 15 minutes once a week consistently, the rest of it will take care of itself.
Mm-hmm. And trust me, guys, I've built teams, exited. I'm not in production anymore. Market center that I was at, it was #5 most profitable. I trained there on ALC. That's where I created lots of cool trainings. When I was going through my process, the first time I abdicated and I lost people. I lost talent because I didn't know how to manage. I didn't know how to delegate, right? Now, this time around, I'm the quiet one in the room. Everybody, I have my meetings every week, and we have 2 different operations meeting. One is with my core team, and then one is with the marketing team and their staff. And so what we go through, I'm quiet. Where are we at? What are we doing? What issues do we have? Bang, bang, bang. What's the resolution? Excellent. Catch y'all next week, right? Everybody knows their job. You got to trust. There's
an evolution as when you evolve from salesperson to business person to leader, you're going to evolve from delegate to manage to lead. Mm-hmm. Lead is the highest level. When you're leading, you are going to get you need to have the most talent. And if you're leading, that talent is going to move right along with you, and you're going to push each other faster. It's like one of my favorite trips I ever went on, I know we're getting to the end of time. One of my favorite trips I ever went on was to Quebec City in Canada. And my daughter and I went dog sledding. Dog sled teams have 2 dogs in the front, right? And what happens if they go different directions? Sled doesn't go anywhere. But when those dogs run together, the 2 dogs in the front, dang, we went fast. It was so much fun. that's where you're going to as the leader of the real estate team, as the agent, is to be in partnership and go together fast.
I would ask everybody who's listening to this a rhetorical question. I don't need you to answer it. You answer it to yourself. How many people can pull a real live right now, accurate profit and loss on their business within 5 minutes? Right. I mean, too. I haven't entered, I haven't categorized anything in QuickBooks in years, but I have people that do it. I get my report once per month. I look at it. You know what I mean? I'm conscious of how much money we're making. I'm conscious of the outflows on a daily basis, right? But I'm not in there looking at it. It's not my job. I'm good at two things with money: making it and spending it, right? I'm not the one that you need organizing it. And a lot of us are the same way. And how many people have at the end of the year, or it's tax season, sitting in their office or their living room floor with a shoebox full of receipts, right? That's no way. That's not a business. That's no way to run a business. But your ops, somebody in your operations department would have that delegated. And listen, you don't need a full-time bookkeeper. Your ops person can, if they don't do it themselves, which I would always delegate, you can hire a bookkeeper for 5 hours a month. I use an online bookkeeping service, right?
And that was one of the first things I did when I joined. I joined 2 agents, and then we built a large team, but it was just 2 agents and me at the beginning. So the first 2 things I did was database and profit and loss. Profit and loss isn't hard. It's your income and your expenses and what's left over.
I'm going to tell you something. Everybody that's ever going to listen to this call, you're losing more money in your database due to improper organization and follow-up than you're making. I'll bet a nickel to a dollar, unless if you're doing it on your own. I 100% believe that, because it is one of the issues, major issues. I have a friend. She had a brokerage 45 minutes south of me. I'd meet with her often and have lunch. She's since moved. And I remember her telling me, John, I don't know what to do. I did a sampling of our leads. Everybody's making money but me. I mean, she had commissions, Inc., thousands of dollars a month and expenditures, right? And she goes, she calls her something else, but I call her an admin for argument's sake, because I don't remember what she calls her. Agent care coordinator, customer care coordinator, or something. Everybody's got a title. And so this lady went through and sampled the database. So basically what that means is she went through and took about 50 leads from each month and researched them, called them, interviewed them. And what she came out with was that she lost about 32. Y'all can do the math in your head. 32 million in production, $32 million in sales happened with other agents, but these people were in the database. Now, you're not going to get all of them, but you're going to get a nice cut of that 32 million. So there's a lot. What's happening is all these leads come into our database. The sentence is over, right? We're not doing anything with
I literally did the identical thing on my team and found almost $800,000 in gross commission income on closed clients who had closed with another agent.
Right. If that doesn't piss you off as the CEO, vice president of sales, whatever, realtor, whatever title you want to give yourself, it's infuriating. It's infuriating. Well, and the only person to be mad at is you.
Let it be an opportunity, right? This is an opportunity. This is what an ops boss can do for you. They're not just, an assistant might just be doing the things you tell them. They're just getting paid for their time. An ops boss is getting paid for results, right? So they can go through and set up a system so that $800,000 commission comes to you instead of someone else. Right?
And this is, I just want to throw this out there too. We're talking a lot in third person about other people and these organizations. You can help an individual agent who hasn't reached that point yet, put their systems in place, and stop these stopgap measures.
We don't actually put systems in place, but we coach. I will tell you, I can refer you to someone for hiring and setting up systems if you have nothing. If you are ready to go to the next level, what we do is teach people how to think. What we find is agents there are plenty of places you can go to figure out how to do the things, but no one teaches you how to think. And if you can teach people how to think at a higher level, they'll figure it out, right? If you teach people that my role should be able to generate 3 times my salary and gross commission income to the team. Now I'm thinking at a lot bigger level. My systems and things that I put in place are going to look different than the person who's just executing and typing things into the database, right?
Mhm.
So we do classes. We do classes for agents, rainmakers, that they come with their assistants so they can both learn how to think together. We do have systems classes to teach you how to build your systems, the thought process behind it, so that you're building scalable systems that produce income instead of just putting systems in place. And then we do coaching, and we do an annual conference for operations leaders. So yeah, we specialize in ops bosses.
That's it. And you know, the funny thing is, we were talking a couple of weeks back when we're getting ready to set this up, and you had said something, and Keller, anybody that's ever been to Keller Williams Family Reunion will get this. If you've been to any other conference where they have breakouts, you'll understand this. But it's always like, you know, 86 conference rooms for breakouts and 85 of them are for agents, right? And then it's like, okay, all you operations people over here. And again, I'm telling you, operations can make or break a business. I know, right? So
Well,
I would
what
say,
I would say to that, I just want to add to that, Johnny, because I think it's really important. Those of you who are on the call who are agents, who are top agents, and you're hiring people because your production's growing, I am betting $1 million that you have other top agents that you mastermind with, or you have coffee with, or that you brainstorm with, or you pick their brain. Your operations people need that too. They need their people that think big, that are going to push them up, right? The average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So help them find those other people, and that's what we do.
well, talking about finding people, how do people find you?
So they can go to our website at opsbosscoaching.com. I'll post it in the comments later. They can email me, Christy, at opsbosscoaching.com, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
The opsbosscoaching.com.
Ops Boss
Right?
Coaching.
So guys, if you have any questions, right, we're winding down, put it in the Facebook chat in the group, or go ahead and put it into Zoom as well, and we'll get it answered. And I see some of the chats in there, so appreciate you, Tyler. Thank you. And the name of the book, just again, somebody had asked, that was 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Brilliant guy, right?
Yeah, that's an awesome book. If you want a second book that I think is an awesome book, it's Rocket Fuel, about the relationship between the visionary and the integrator of any business. It's a great book.
Yeah, I heard that one is fantastic. As a matter of fact, I got to get that because it's been recommended to me 3 times in the past month. So guess what?
There you go.
That's a prompting. Somebody's telling me, get this book, dude. And, you know, as somebody, I will say this, as somebody who, I mean, I do run the operations of Explore My Town and everything else like that. I went to school for computer information systems. I was a Web 1.0 network engineer. I helped build the infrastructure of current World Wide Web. A lot of fun stuff, right? And we basically my job was putting the infrastructure in for e-commerce and platforms, which is Web 2.0. So I've been around a lot of this stuff. I'm exiting out of that so I can be the full CEO and focus on the vision that we need to. Now that the systems are up, the systems are tested, all the standards are there. Now it's time for me to move out. So as somebody who has played both roles, one because I had to, one because I like to be the other role more. I mean, it's fun and you can get lost inside of systems, but I can tell you, as somebody that moves a lot of data around, a lot of pieces around, and as people, you all who are dealing on 9.9 times out of 10, the biggest asset of most people's lives, to have a proper support system in place for you to, you know, when we say systems, why do some agents really win? Because they have a system in place. Every time they list a home, this is what happens. Every time they go on a contract, this is what happens, right? These are systems. And
you
what
know
an
why
ops
top
person
agents
does.
are top agents, Johnny? It's not because they have systems in place. It's because they have a partner who puts systems in place.
Yeah. Listen, every person like me needs a person like you. And I'm just saying that, right? Because I go 1,000,000 miles an hour, 100. I don't mean clean up my mess. Okay, we come in, we got to do X, Y, and Z, on to the next thing for me, right? Okay, where are we going? I mean, I'm standing up I don't even need to talk about it, but lots of busy things. My attention needs to be over there. Not did Sally get her video, right? So putting the operations people in place will free up your time so you can make more money in the income producing activities, right? That's what the benefit to you as the agent, broker, team leader, whatever it might be, is you're going to recapture the most valuable asset that you have, which is time, right? I mean,
yeah, let me give them one tip before we go on when you're looking for that person. I see people make a mistake, whether they're hiring the chief operating officer, the director of operations, the executive assistant, or their first assistant. They walk out and say they have an elevator script, and their elevator script is, yeah, I'm hiring an assistant, I'm hiring a DOO. Who do you know that's looking for a job? You have just shot yourself in the foot with two failures right off the bat. One is they don't know what an assistant is, or a director of operations, or a COO. So instead of telling them the title, tell them what kind of person you're looking for. I'm looking for that person, like at the PTA, they're not the PTA president, but they're the one behind the scenes that's really good with all the details and they have everything under control. Who do you know like that? So now they're going to give you specific names. They're not going to go, oh, I don't know of anybody who would be an assistant. And secondly, they're going to think of people who might already be employed somewhere else that are looking for an opportunity. Because right now, there's not a lot of people looking for jobs. There are people looking for opportunities. So now they're going to give you a specific name. Oh yeah, my friend John, he would be awesome. He already works at such and such, but let me put you in touch with him. Now you've got a conversation and you can find people. So have an elevator script that doesn't give a title, but describes the type of person you're looking for.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this, and we're going to start to wind it down right here, open it up for questions and such. So ask them if you have them. Don't be cheap, right? Don't expect somebody that's going to triple your production and you think you're going to pay him $12.50. I mean, an hour. It just, the two don't go together. I can go work at Five Guys right now for $22. I saw it on Facebook, so it must be true. Right. But they're throwing cash. I mean, $16 an hour to go work at McDonald's. And I want to deal with ego and phone calls and irate buyers or sellers for less than pay. You got to pay to play. Right. And that's, I learned that the hard way too. You get what you pay for. You want to sign, I believe it's Simon Sinek who says, train your people so well that they can leave and go anywhere. Treat them so well that they don't. Right. And again, that comes down to a cultural thing, but you want to make sure this is a business partner. This isn't a person that's going to just work for you to go put signs in and all that. If that's what you want, that's fine. There's plenty of people to do that. If you're looking for that next level, if you're looking for a real business growth, then pay the people. Right?
I'll give you a Gary Keller quote on that. Since you brought up KW, I'll bring it up. My absolute favorite quote in the book he wrote, Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I'll quote it to you. Many of the discussions I've heard at real estate seminars and classes on the subject can be boiled down to this philosophy. Quote, how little can I pay someone and not have them leave? I'd like to advocate the exact opposite approach. When you make it your business to hire talent, ask yourself, how much can I afford to pay them so that I keep them as long as possible?
100%.
Love that quote.
100%, because it takes, guys, y'all know the systems you're using. How long did it take you to learn it? And now you're going to, and that was a slow inculcation. You learn this one and then this one and then this one. Now all of a sudden you're hiring somebody and you're like, here's all the systems, right? So it takes anywhere. This is studied in college. It takes anywhere between 3 to 6 months to get somebody ramped up. Last thing you want is that person to leave because they're getting $4 an hour from the broker up the street who's your competition, right? It says, oh, this person, don't train them so somebody else pays them more money, right? And takes them from you. Treat your people well. Look at them as a business partner. That's how I look at it. Yeah, even my clients, I call them all partners. We're in this together, all right? We're all in this together, my partners. So what else? Final words. What do you got?
People always ask me, like, where do I find them? Finding this person, is it a unicorn? Is it really hard to find? One of my favorite quotes is, a needle in a haystack's easy, just bring a magnet. right? And that goes back to what we talked about earlier. If you're the magnet, if you're the leader, you will attract talent to you. So that's where I start.
You will attract talent. Y'all, if you have any questions, put them here. We'll answer them. If not, what do we got for final words? Anything?
I don't know. Let's get bossy.
Let's get bossy. And man, I like the people that are around me currently because they tell me what I need to do, right? There's come some points. I know the direction, I get the vision, I've written the business plan, I've written the pro formas, I've written every piece of paper that you can. Now other people are implementing it. It's like, we need this, we need this, we need this. Did you do this? Here's the thing. Having somebody around you holds you accountable. And I will say, when I had more GCI, the tagline was accountability plus discipline equals success, right? Accountability is what wins this game. We all need it. We all need to be held a little bit accountable too. So when you get a good ops person and they're like, we need to do this, this, and this, or here's the list of issues, how do you want to handle it, right? Or here, you need that person to hold you accountable, also to help in the guidance of which way you're going. Elizabeth says a great ops person loves to execute on a big vision when the leader empowers them to do so. Listen, 100%, right? Not everybody wants to be or is cut out to be the CEO. Not every, and y'all, if you're a real estate agent, you're a CEO of your own little business, right? Let's just call it that. Not everybody's cut out to be a CEO. There's a lot. You know who Paul Allen is? One of the wealthiest guys in the world. He was second in command, right? Edward, I can't think of his last name right now. He was one of the first 4 of Facebook. He's worth billions too, right? Edward's not Snowden.
There's a lot of us who love riding shotgun, but
right?
It's important for us when you're riding shotgun, who's driving the car is really important.
Yeah,
right?
Eduardo 7, I believe his name is. But you know what? A good operations person. Again, what was the second book that you recommended? I think everybody should go get that.
Rocket Fuel.
Rocket Fuel. I'm actually writing that down over here so I don't forget it for the 17th time. Guys,
if you go to our website, we actually have a reading list of the books that we recommend, the first books you should recommend when you make hires. So just go to our store, our shop that's on our website, and then onto the blog.
opsbosscoaching.com.
opsbosscoaching.com. Yep.
All right. Well, if nobody has anything to say, I think we're done here. You all can reach out to Christy at opsbosscoaching.com, or you can go to opsbosscoaching.com and connect there. I'm sure if you search on social media, you'll find it there too. So if there's no questions on behalf of Lab Coat Agents, thanks for allowing us to do this. Guys, reach out, get your operations in place and increase your production and dominate your market. That's all I got to say.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Johnny.
You got it. Thank you all for coming. Thanks for showing up.